Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Outlook in the DeFi Dojo. Today is September 22nd, and what in the world are these markets doing? So, Bitcoin is trading in the same range that it's been in since we had these two big green candles in February and March. So that's going on 7 months. Trading inside the range of these two candles. We had a bearish weekly cross followed by 2 weeks underneath, and now we're potentially getting a bullish cross again. Just for reference, this has never happened in Bitcoin's history. Every time it's had a bearish weekly cross, it has fallen further than that. So I'm not quite convinced yet. I think that this week's candle should determine whether or not we are back to bullish again. And if you look at these EMAs, they are technically, technically crossed at the moment by about, let's say $150, give or take a couple bucks here on the price itself. They're basically in the same location here. Any movement below this R3 will likely uncross them. So we're not very far away from being bearish still. So I want to wait one more week. I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin right here on this pivot as we retested it just now. Not a lot. I'm not like going balls deep into this at the moment. I think that with as wishy-washy as this is, and as like undetermined this entire range is for 4 or 5 months now, I'm not fully convinced yet until I at least see another weekly candle this week close above 62K. Like, I want to see it hold 62K, and we haven't even retested it since we've broken above it. So that 62K mark inevitably will likely get touched this week. So that would be another place I might kind of just dabble a little bit more. And then if we do happen to see these EMAs this week, they'll likely be curling back down if we even get close to touching them. So that's right around 61K. So that just goes to show you how close we are to, being on this like seesaw of where we stand in crypto. So I got a little bit. Sure, it's higher than where I sold. That sucks. But I'm not really upset about it. I think that this could have easily gone further down, and I still think it could. Like we have this trend line way down here from the lows that hasn't been touched since October of 23, so that's a year. And so that is definitely still a possibility. We could come up here and hit the top of the bull flag and then come right back down again. Who knows? So in order to be really confident, right, like super confident this bull cycle is going to continue to, go up to these bull market targets that we have been mapping out for, a year now, I want to see it still close over 71.3, right? And that's still a long ways away. Now, that means if you're going to wait for that, you're giving up tremendous, upside, because from here to here is 63% from our current location to the lowest Bitcoin target that we have. And then if we wait for the 73 mark, we're only going to get, 43%. So 45%. So, up to you if you want to try to speculate here and take this and see if that's what we get. Totally up to you. I'm speculating a little bit that we will because of the timing of the cycle. I still think there's plenty of time left in this cycle. History-wise, and so I'm taking that little bit of risk right now, but only with Bitcoin. I'm not even playing around with ETH yet. I'll show you why. This is still underneath the 8 EMA on the weekly. In order for this to be bullish, really, again, it needs to get back up over this 236 and the 21 EMA, which is like 2846. Not that it can't do it. Obviously, we know how much Ethereum can move. Here's the, consolidation back here that it found support on. We also have the, trend line that it's touched. So you could speculatively think that maybe this is going to continue higher as well and even get up back down to this downtrend. But in order to really break out, it needs to get over 3,000 again. So that's still quite a ways away. I don't know. Because of how much altcoins can outperform Bitcoin, I don't really need to like have Ethereum here. Like if we're gonna get that amazing, phase 2 Ethereum cycle like we've seen in cycles past, then this is gonna go to like 14K if it does break out. So like I'm not worried about buying it at 2,500 or 3K if 14K is the target, right? Does that make sense? Like I'm not worried about that 500 bucks. If that's what we're going to get, but I want to make sure we're going to get that before I buy, right? So I'm going to dabble with a little bit of Bitcoin first and see how things go this week. If we get the weekly cross, then I'll start dabbling back into Ethereum again. If we look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, it's pretty horrendous, and we haven't even touched that main 0.5 yet from our low to our high, and there's still a little bit of potential downside here to touch 0.3778. If we see that mark, I'm probably going to, maybe dabble in a little bit of Ethereum, or if we break back up over the 8 EMA, or you can see this channel that we were trading in forever and we actually broke below it. If we can reclaim that channel, then maybe I'll dabble in some Ethereum. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, we put this nice doji candle right at the mark that we've been aiming for all year long. That's the main 0.5 from the last, super duper high from 2017 to our way down here lows, and that's the main 0.5. And so you can see that our pivot on the weekly lines up really nice with that 0.5. And then this is kind of a top looking candle. So maybe from here we see, Ethereum dominant or Bitcoin dominance slowly start falling. And then that would be good for Solana dominance and Ethereum dominance. Ethereum dominance looks like absolute ass, like it's terrible, especially when compared to Sol, right? So maybe I should buy a little Sol here. I don't know. I'm going to wait a week, but I do think that when I do average back in, it's going to be into Sol and Ethereum. I'm going to kind of just mix the bag there and finally buy a little bit of Sol. If we go look at Sol, Sol weekly, we have broken this downtrend that has been holding us down forever. There's a lot of lines. I didn't prepare this before I was going to show it to you, but here's the downtrend, right? We broke it and we're now retesting it here along with the 8 EMA. So right now this looks like the best bet for like an altcoin entry. Right now, this is like your best risk to reward at the moment, because you can buy this here and keep your stop loss like just under 139, right? Because if it broke back down here, we would lose the pivot, we'd lose the 21, we'd lose the 8, and we would break down back under trend, right? So 138 is kind of like the cutoff, and that's not very far from where we are right now. So a 4% risk on something that moves as much as Sol, I think is totally worth the gamble, right? So I'm buying a little bit of Sol. Probably here shortly tonight, and I'm going to wait a little bit on Ethereum. The weekly on Sol is holding the weekly 8 EMA here as well, so you can see how perfect that is, right? And it's right around like 142, but we could get dips to that 138 level on the daily and still, hold up and maintain that. Could get dips down into here to retest that before it wants to maybe try to move back up. But then if we fail that, then yeah, I'm just going to get the hell out. I'm not going to try to mess around with that. But there's significant upside here, even back up to the trend line, the 786 at like 170, 175. And then if we break 178 to 181, then we can really see this lift off. So Solana is kind of exciting to me, a little more than Ethereum now at this juncture, because I got completely out of the market, as you know, a couple weeks ago. And now I kind of have this like fresh slate, which kind of feels good. Like I can kind of do what I want and not have to worry too much about, being committed yet. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with crypto. If you look at the CME, we broke this downtrend on Bitcoin. If you look at Ethereum CME, it kind of looks pretty similar to spot, where you got that 8 EMA kind of keeping us down. Got a gap here too, and a gap way the hell down here. So until this gets a little more clear, I'm going to kind of favor Sol, because its chart looks better, especially on the weekly, right? If we look at Sol on the weekly, we're above the EMAs again, right? We closed over both of them, broke trend. That's a bullish move. Ethereum's not doing that. It's a nice big green candle off of support, sure, but it's not closing over EMAs like Solana and Bitcoin are. So that's why I'm favoring Bitcoin and Solana and not Ethereum at this point in time. I hope that Ethereum can give us a nice big green candle over 2,800 this week. That'd be great. I'd jump back in. But until I see that, I'm not gonna do it. If we look at the dollar, we've just been chilling on this 0.5 for 5 weeks now. There's really no direction. The trend line isn't even helpful anymore because we close over it, close under it, close over it. Doesn't really make a difference. The 0.5 is what matters right now, and if we start moving below this, then we could see quickly this 618, right? Like that would be a pretty devastating fall for the dollar. What equities do when that's happening is a huge what if. Because of the Fed rate cuts and how things are just really changing for the first time in a long time, that could confuse charts, and you should not interpret them the way that you normally would. So looking at the S&P, we already tapped that. I mean, I put it in the summary that 57, 54 was probably where we were going to find support, and we actually went down there and touched it while I was writing that, and then now we're bouncing already. So I think that could provide support this week after closing that candle over it on the daily. And then the NASDAQ, kind of the same story. We're already breaking above the golden pocket to begin the session. So overnight sessions are kind of, you don't really want to judge them too much on what's going to happen the next day. But this looks to me like there's very little supply. EMAs are bullish on the daily. EMAs are bullish on the weekly still. So we haven't gotten up to that 1.618 here yet either. And I'll get rid of this because you've seen that already. But you know where my targets are on the indexes. I still think we can get up to these sometime this year. ES is 58.48 is the main 1.618. If we look at the Dow Jones, it's getting very close to its 1.618 as well. So these targets are likely all going to hit. And then once we do hit them, we're going to see what's going on, what's going to happen. I think we could chop around up there for a while before we make an inevitable move down. How much of a move down is kind of unknown. I don't know. It kind of depends on the timing of elections and what happens after elections. And then when we start the new year, I'll be able to gauge it better. But in the meantime, this is still pretty much, in up-only mode. And if we compare Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. It's because we've been bearish for many, many weeks on this chart, and we just closed a candle over both EMAs, which this is a bullish move. So it makes sense to say we'll probably end up coming back up to the downtrend at the very least when we compare Bitcoin to the NASDAQ. So Bitcoin has the potential to outperform the NASDAQ here this week. And if that does happen, then that solidifies this move up. And if we close over this bull flag, then it's kind of like game on, right? I'm just going to start jumping into everything. But I want to see what happens if we can get a move up and close over the bull flag. And if Ethereum can get back up over the 8 EMA on the weekly at the minimum, I think we can see, if that happens, I think we can see altcoins break this downtrend, right? So depending on what happens this week is going to kind of prove a lot. And it could get really exciting really fast, especially if this chart can break this flag. Then it's like go time for alts, right? And that's kind of what everyone's been waiting for. And perhaps Bitcoin dominance showing us a top here, potentially with this doji candle at our main TP target, that could potentially send altcoins over this break. I hope all of this makes sense. Just kind of rambling my thoughts out here from what I've been looking at over the last couple hours. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Let me know what you think about this analysis. Like I want to hear back from you too. Like if Bitcoin dominance is topping, then it makes sense that altcoins are going to move, right? And if we got total 3, which includes Solana, and Solana's chart looks better than Ethereum, then it makes sense to dabble with some Bitcoin for some security and dabble with some Solana for the risky stuff, and just to leave Ethereum alone. And maybe that's what the market's thinking, right? I don't know. So if you have any questions, chart requests, feel free to drop them in the chat. Maybe some altcoins look good now. Maybe it's worth charting them and seeing what there is to play with. Going once, going twice. Luxo. Doesn't look great. No, it doesn't look great. That's not one that I would shoot for. I will tell you. Let's see. Where did Tau close? Because I think I said if it closed over 465, it did. It closed over 465. So that's not the one I want to look at. Where's MEXC? Yeah. It even closed. It didn't close over 470. It did. Did it close over 470 on the weekly? No. But we're moving. So what I would expect to see here, if it doesn't just clear the golden pocket, is kind of a bouncing around in this golden pocket. And I would try to aim for like 427 entry all the way down to 370, like in this zone here where you can see the weeklies crossing bullish again here. So this becomes like the best entry if we can nab that. No guarantee it's going to give us that, but this is where I might consider DCAing back into Tau, and my stop loss becomes this 355 mark, right? So wait for some pullbacks. Hopefully we get them. I don't know if we do, but that is a nice, reversal sign, and so this has potential again. SUI. Yeah, that's very similar. Weekly bullish cross. Hitting the 786 already. Juicy. Look at all those green candles. It's amazing how it's just like nothing, and then all of a sudden you just got like 2 weeks of straight up with something. Makes it very difficult. This cycle's been so hard, just in general. But yeah, if we clear that 786 at, let's call it 168, that should continue higher to new highs. It's tough though, because I hate buying the big green candle, right? Like I want to pull back, but crypto doesn't like doing that. It's like you could get something, this big green candle and then this nice little red one to try to enter on. Hopefully we can get something like that. 130 to 148 would be your DCA spots with your stop loss just under the 0.5. Hoping you don't get wicked out all the way to the 21. I mean, that's a massive range. Like anything can happen here. It's just so much risk. 33% to 21. Good God. I don't know. That one, it's bullish. I don't know if I would risk that though. OP. I think I'm just more conservative these days. Like, I just don't want to lose. .5 support. Yeah, that's the main 0.5. So it would be fair to say that this is probably, if we continue, we close back up over the S1 here, so that's a good start. But we're probably at least going to go back up and retest that underside of that trend, and that would provide some pretty nice. Yeah, it's 50%. I think I'd rather play with that. You got the MACD cross, so like it's still way down here, so this might take a while to materialize back up there. But the upside's nice, and the stop loss could be, $1.50, just underneath the 8 EMA here. Like I would say, I'd go with like these bodies here. So 147, call it. Still a lot of downside if it hits. It's like 12%. That's not too bad in crypto land. Yeah, I would take that. I would take that over SUI, I think. Is even though SUI's like way more bullish, it's just like it's gone up so much already, and if we can use that as like a map to what is possible for other alts, then this would be kind of a safer bet with a tighter stop, less risk on the drawdown if you do get stopped out. It's kind of how I like playing things. I hope that makes sense. ARB. So yeah, nice bullish close over the 8 EMA for the first time in like forever, right? So that's a great start, and then just use that 8 EMA as your stop. So you can create a really nice risk to reward here if let's call it like the top of that candle, bottom of that candle as the stop. Let's go with that one. So 56.5. The risk from here is 6%. With an upside potential to the 21 of 25. So that's a great risk to reward. You see the MACD's crossing here, right? And so seeing all these alts perform these reversal moves where MACDs are crossing, closing over 8 EMAs, closing over pivots for the first time in a long time, and then seeing total 3 like on the verge of breakout here, it just tells me that this is possible to actually break this time. And so that's kind of just what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the altcoins market potentially finally breaking out here. There's like a inverted head and shoulders kind of look as well. So yeah, I think this is it's looking pretty positive that this is gonna happen. Like Bitcoin's already bouncing off that. It's pretty volatile in the shorter time frames at the moment, but that's typical before a bigger move, and that bigger move might be to the downside for all we know. But we just closed back inside the golden pocket here for the second time, and so like that's kind of what you want to see, support right in that zone could be forming, and then that shoots us higher. So just keep an eye on Bitcoin and that 8 EMA and the daily to begin the week, and then to end the week kind of just see like, okay, are we going to cross or not, right? So just play it day by day, and as long as Bitcoin stays over the 8 EMA, it's looking great. If we do happen to fall back down to 62.50 here, well, that's just a retest of the 21, a retest of this downtrend break. That's all normal stuff. Fall any lower than that, then like, okay, we got to start worrying a little bit, right? And then this will kind of be the judge of what altcoins do, for the most part. And if this continues to fall, then Bitcoin can just stay sideways and altcoins can start popping off. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for this week. Pepe. Let's go back over here. Pepe the frog. All right, so the last time I charted this, I showed you that there was bearish divergence, and we got downside for many weeks after that. But perhaps this is now reversing. So like everything gave these weekly bearish crosses and then just stayed sideways until they're getting back over them, which it's not the best day for traders. Like, it's not the best cycle for traders, that's for sure. But if we can get back over them, then sure, let's go for it. And so here would be your targets. If we do happen to clear the EMAs on the weekly, then you got the 382 here first. If that clears, then like the sky's the limit. Let's see, where's this downtrend? We'll call it there. So break the downtrend, yeah, we can go make new highs. Until then, the target would be the downtrend 382 kind of zone in here. If you go to the daily, I'd like to at least get over pivot again. So, but it's a nice, bullish cross here, consolidating on top of it, rather than like below it, right? So that's the difference, and this is kind of what you want to look for to take those risks. I think if we're going to take risks, the time is either now or wait at least a couple days and see, if we actually can close back over that trend line. Yeah, that's the plan. I don't want to get too excited yet, but I think it's going to happen. My instincts are kicking in like, I think I need to start buying shit again. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too excited because I know how much this market can just like gut you, right? And so for all we know, it's just another freaking fake out. But I mean, look at Bitcoin. It's getting big green candles every time there's even just a small dip. It's just the buyers are stepping in. So That's what we want to see. We want to see, you know, people getting excited again. But like if you go to the higher time frames, like the 4 hour, you know, for all we know, it's another one of these shits here, right? So like I don't want to get too excited yet, because for all we know, it just does this again. So we also need to clear that 65.8 mark. So I'd say there's a good chance we're probably going to go see that line, and then if we can get over it, cool. Like, you know, game on. Arrow, man, I made a lot of money on Arrow. Is it time to play it again? Maybe. Man, I don't even know what all those lines were for back in the day. I think that's where I ended up selling, is like in that area. Okay, 0.5 is likely coming right around the dollar mark. I didn't want to move that. Crap. And we're going to change this trend line to... So, you know, we broke the main downtrend. Good start. Definitely becoming bullish, but then there's this one. Did we break that? We did. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, take your trend line there and take a shot and keep your stops just underneath, you know, kind of like this whole zone here around 79 cents to 81 cents. That's going to be, yeah, there's a lot right there. So this is going to be your like stop loss zone right like in here. And closing over R2 means it can just continue higher. So you really don't have the luxury of waiting for a pullback, especially on something like Arrow. Like when it goes, it just keeps going. So unfortunately, you probably just have to take the risk here, and then if it falls, be prepared to buy a little bit more with your stop loss around 78 cents. And then if it falls below that, just get the hell out, because it's likely a fake out break. So hope that helps. All right. That seems to be all. There's definitely less people here than I expected this week. So hopefully they watch the recording and can get a little bit excited with us. And I'll see you all during the week. Good luck. If you have any other chart requests or questions or things that you're liking the charts of, drop them in the chart requests channel. I'll take a look at them and we'll make some money together. All right. Have a good week, guys.